Welcome back to Beyond the Unknown, everyone. I'm Alex Carter.
And I'm Olivia Reyes.
You've tuned in for episode 24.
AI in the military.
That's right, AI in the military.
And you know this report we've been looking at?
Yeah.
It really drives home the point that AI,
It's here.
it's not science fiction anymore.
Yeah.
It's changing how wars are fought right now.
And it's bringing up a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Both good and
Uh-huh.
a little concerning.
Uh-huh.
A little concerning.
Uh-huh.
So let's dive in.
Let's unpack it.
Okay, so the report lays out some pretty compelling reasons why militaries all over the world are so eager to adopt AI.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big draw?
Well, I think first and foremost, AI is a data crunching machine.
Okay.
We're talking processing information at speeds humans can't even comprehend. You know, imagine trying to make sense of satellite imagery, drone footage, any ground sensor data.
All at the same time.
All at once, yeah.
My brain hurts just thinking about it.
Exactly. But AI can handle that and translate that data into faster, more informed decisions in the heat of battle.
Yeah.
It's like having a strategic mastermind.
Working in the background.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
So we're talking about a real strategic edge then.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you give us a concrete example?
Yeah, sure.
Of how this would actually play out?
Absolutely. Imagine a scenario where an AI system is analyzing real-time satellite imagery and it predicts an ambush route.
Okay.
And it could alert troops in advance.
Oh, wow.
Allowing them to,
take evasive action. Potentially avoid a really bad attack.
Yeah, a devastating attack.
That kind of predictive capability.
It's a game changer.
It is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's incredible and a little unsettling, if I'm honest.
It is.
Yeah.
And that processing power leads to AI being used for surveillance and reconnaissance. The report highlights how autonomous drones, powered by AI, can monitor huge areas without putting human pilots at risk.
Right. And we all remember our deep dive on autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
It seems like AI is going to change warfare. Just like it's changing transportation.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, fewer personnel needed.
Right.
Lower maintenance costs. It's a tempting proposition for any military with budget constraints.
It is a powerful combination of factors, no doubt.
Right.
But as with any powerful technology, AI comes with its own set of risks and drawbacks.
Okay, so AI sounds amazing on paper.
Right.
But what are the potential downsides?
Wow.
Where do things get a little dicey?
Even with all its benefits, we can't forget that AI systems are software at their core.
Right.
And software can be hacked.
And when you're talking about military applications, that's a terrifying thought.
Absolutely.
Imagine an enemy taking control of a sophisticated AI system, turning it against its own troops, or even using it to attack civilians.
Oh, yeah.
That sends chills down my spine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if we address those cybersecurity concerns, we can't ignore the fact that AI systems, even with the best intentions, can make mistakes, especially in the complex and chaotic environment of a battlefield.
Right. Like the report mentioned an AI system misidentifying a civilian vehicle as a military target, especially in challenging conditions.
Yeah.
Like fog or a crowded city.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how you program a machine to understand the nuances of a situation like that. Like imagine an AI trying to tell the difference between a group of armed civilians defending their homes and an advancing enemy force.
Yeah, how do you code the distinction between
how do you code in
a combatant
a combatant
and a non-combatant?
Right, or the proportionality of force needed.
Those are concepts that even humans grapple with constantly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another layer of concern. The dehumanization of warfare. When machines are making life or death decisions on the battlefield, where does the human element fit in?
Does it become too easy to pull the trigger?
It does.
When you've got an algorithm telling you what to do, it feels like a slippery slope.
It does. It's not just a technical question. It's a deeply philosophical one. And it leads us right into a whole other minefield. The ethical considerations of AI in the military.
Okay, hit me with it.
This is where things get really interesting.
What are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, accountability. Who's responsible when an AI system makes a mistake? Especially one that results in civilian casualties. Is it the programmer?
Is it the
military commander, the AI itself?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that squirrel case we talked about.
Oh, right.
All those legal questions about animals.
Right.
But now we're applying it to AI on a much larger scale.
Exactly.
But,
and then there's the challenge of making sure
right.
AI systems actually comply with international humanitarian law.
Yeah, like we were just discussing.
Like, how do you program a machine?
How do you even begin to code that?
It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not entirely clear if it's even possible.
And to add to that, the report brings up the terrifying prospect of AI escalation.
Yes.
Where an AI misinterprets an enemy action.
Uh-huh.
And triggers a conflict.
Yeah.
Potentially even a war.
It might sound like science fiction.
Right.
But it's a very real concern.
Yeah.
That governments and military organizations are already grappling with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're talking about some pretty high stakes here.
Yeah.
Are there any solutions on the horizon? What are governments and military organizations doing?
Yeah, the report dives into some potential solutions being explored.
Okay.
One of the most important is transparency.
Okay.
Militaries need to be upfront about how they're using AI, what kinds of decisions they're delegating to these systems, and what safeguards are in place.
Transparency seems to be a recurring theme.
It does.
In a lot of the topics we cover on this show.
Yeah.
And it's understandable why it would be so crucial here.
Absolutely.
If we don't know how these AI systems work,
right,
or what their limitations are, how can we trust them?
Exactly.
To make these life or death calls.
It's about building trust.
Right.
But it's also about accountability.
Okay.
If something does go wrong, we need to be able to trace back the chain of command.
Right.
Figure out what happened.
And figure out what went wrong.
Was it a programming error?
Was it
faulty sensor data?
Right. Was it human oversight failure?
Yeah, human oversight failure.
Transparency helps us answer those questions.
Exactly.
Right. It's like a black box right now.
Yeah.
We need to be able to see what's going on inside.
Exactly. And the report also stresses the importance of international cooperation.
Okay.
This isn't just a problem for one country to solve.
Right.
It's a global challenge requiring a coordinated response.
I can see that. Imagine a world where every country is developing its own AI-powered weapons systems.
Right.
Each with its own set of rules or lack thereof.
Yeah.
It would be complete chaos.
It would be an AI arms race.
Yeah.
With potentially catastrophic consequences. That's why the report advocates for something like the treaties we have for nuclear weapons, frameworks to prevent an AI arms race.
Right.
We need to work together to establish global standards for the development and deployment of military AI.
Global standards, transparency, accountability.
Right.
Those are good starting points.
Yeah.
But how do we practically ensure that these AI systems adhere to international humanitarian law?
Yeah.
Especially those concepts like distinction and proportionality we were talking about earlier.
That's the million-dollar question. There are no easy answers.
Right.
But the report suggests some promising research avenues.
Okay.
One is the development of explainable AI systems that can articulate their reasoning process.
So instead of just spitting out a decision, an AI could explain why it chose to engage a particular target.
Exactly.
What factors it considers its level of certainty.
Exactly. That kind of transparency would be crucial for building trust and understanding how these systems operate.
Okay.
It would also help identify and correct any biases or errors in the decision-making process.
It sounds almost like we're trying to teach AI to think like a human.
In a way, yes.
But without all of our emotional baggage and biases.
Yeah, we want these systems to be rational and objective.
Right.
But also aligned with our values and ethical principles.
It's a tall order.
It is.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to the issue of dehumanization.
Right.
The more we rely on machines to fight our wars, the easier it becomes to distance ourselves from the human cost.
Right. You're right. The more responsibility we delegate to machines, the less we question the ethics of war.
Right. It becomes just another data point in an algorithm.
Another strategic calculation.
Exactly.
And that's a chilling thought.
It is.
War should never be taken lightly.
Right.
And human life should always be paramount.
I agree. It's crucial to keep these ethical questions front and center.
Yeah.
As AI evolves, We need to be asking ourselves hard questions
Right.
about the future of warfare
Yeah.
and what role we want technology to play.
Like, what does it even mean to win a war?
Exactly.
In an age of autonomous weapons
Right.
and AI-powered decision-making.
Yeah. What are the long-term consequences of removing humans from the equation?
These are profound questions.
They are.
And while the report doesn't offer all the answers,
right,
it emphasizes a key takeaway.
It does.
We can't just sit back and let technology dictate the future of warfare.
We can't.
We need to be actively shaping that future.
Absolutely.
Making sure it reflects our values.
Yeah.
And our commitment to peace and humanity. It really is mind-blowing to think about, we're standing on the edge of this technological revolution in warfare.
Yeah.
But still wrestling with some of the most fundamental questions.
Right.
About what it means to be human, what it means to fight, to win, to lose.
It is fascinating. And these aren't just theoretical questions.
No.
They have real-world consequences for all of us.
Of course.
Where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
How much control are we willing to give to machines?
Yeah.
At what point does war become so automated, so detached from human oversight that it loses all meaning?
It's a slippery slope. And this whole conversation feels like it's just getting started.
It is.
AI is advancing so rapidly.
Right.
And the ethical and strategic implications are only going to get more complex.
Absolutely. That's why it's so crucial for everyone to stay informed.
Yeah.
To engage in these discussions and challenge assumptions. We need to demand transparency from our leaders.
Right.
We can't be passive observers in this technological revolution.
Yeah, we can't just sit back.
We have to be active participants.
So if we're going to be active participants, what does that future battlefield actually look like?
Well,
what does the report say?
It goes beyond just drones and autonomous vehicles.
Okay.
The report highlights AI systems that can analyze enemy propaganda, predict troop morale, even manipulate social media to influence public opinion.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like the lines between physical warfare and information warfare are blurring almost to the point where you can't tell the difference.
Exactly. And that makes defining victory in this new era of conflict even more difficult.
Right.
Is it about conquering territory?
Is it about
controlling resources, shaping narrative?
All right.
Maybe it's all of them.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. And I keep thinking back to what you said earlier about AI escalation. A machine misinterpreting a situation. And triggering a conflict that could have been avoided entirely.
Right. It really underscores the need for human oversight.
Yeah.
Clear lines of accountability and fail-safes to prevent these systems from spiraling out of control.
Right.
We can't just hand over the reins of war to machines
without
thinking through all of the potential consequences.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this conversation is just beginning.
Okay.
The integration of AI into warfare is going to have a profound impact on everyone.
Yeah.
And it's crucial that we stay engaged, informed, and critical. We need to ask the tough questions, demand transparency, and push for ethical guidelines.
Right.
To ensure that AI is used responsibly and for the benefit of all humankind.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up episode 24 of Beyond the Unknown.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But this is just the start of a much larger conversation.
Absolutely.
So keep those questions coming. Keep those brains buzzing.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the unknown.